Diego. Today I'm going to do a seared porterhouse steak. I'm actually going to sous vide it first and then sear it, finish it. I'm going to also make a compound butter with that. And then we're going to do a blackberry pie at the end to finish. Okay. First, we're going to do a safety moment. And my safety moment today is going to be on correctly wearing a mask, since everybody has to do it now. So first off, wash your hands before putting on your mask. Put it over your nose and your mouth, secure it under your chin. Try to fit it snugly against the side of your face. Make sure that you can breathe easily. And to take off your mask, basically you have to wash your hands before you take it off. Pull it off with the string. Take it off, and then before putting it back on, you need to wash your hands. And washing your hands is crucial in this thing so you don't get any of the germs or disease onto your mask. That'll do it with the safety moment. Through the video, I'm still trying to figure out this whole video thing, so there's a couple of lulls in there where there's no sound. Basically, it's part of the sous vide that I did. Excuse me. And it's basically when I stick the sous vide, when I stick the porterhouse steaks into the water, and basically I'm talking about, I set the steaks at rare, which Celsius would be 54 Celsius, 129.2 degrees, okay? And basically cook them for an hour. So let's get started. So we're going to make some compound butter today. We have some room temperature butter, about 4 ounces, 1 garlic clove, a little bit of shallot. Since it's fall, I decided to put a little bit of sage in there. We have Italian fava leaf parsley. Typically it calls for chives, but we don't have any, so we're going to actually use green onions in there. Okay? And all we're going to basically do is chop everything very fine. And today we're going to take this compound butter and it'll be the flavoring on top of our porterhouse steaks that we have that we're going to sous vide. So I'll chop everything as fine as possible, and then I'm just going to basically just mix it into the butter. And then I'm going to wrap it in plastic wrap. And then we're going to put it in the refrigerator get it hard again, and then that way we can cut little rings for the flavoring. As you can tell, I have my cut glove on because I don't want to cut my hand as I'm chopping. And this can be as rough chop as you like it. It doesn't have to be fine chopped. It can look a little rustic because all it basically does is going to flavor your steak with the butter and the herbs and the onion. Okay, with garlic, I like to take it on a microplaner. Rub it all the way down and get all the ingredients in there. Get everything in there. Mix all the ingredients together. And I'll grab a piece of plastic wrap, lay it on my board. Then I'll roll it. And all I'm going to do is just squeeze the ends until I get the size kind of that I want. Get all the air out of it. That looks good there, and I'll refrigerate that till it's nice and hard. So tonight we're going to do sous vide porterhouse steaks. This side is the New York strip, and this side is the filet mignon, huh? So I'm going to flavor these with a little sage, rosemary, bay leaf, garlic, and thyme. Here's the water bath. I have it set for 54 Celsius, which is 129.2 degrees. Okay, it's going to sit in the water bath for an hour. Basically, put it in the bath. Put it down in the water. Try to get all the air out, which is called the water displacement. And then basically I'll clip it. Okay, that's it. And it'll sit in there for an hour, then I'll pull it out and I'll chill it down. So I just pulled them out of, I'm just pulling them out of the water bath. They've been in for an hour. So I'm going to seal the bag and I'm just going to put them on an ice bath to chill them down as quick as possible. And then I'll pat them dry right before I sear them on both sides. Okay, so I just took the porterhouse out of the refrigerator and basically I put it in a water bath with ice and I chilled it down to 40 degrees and then I took it out of the water bath and I put it in the refrigerator. Now you can do anything like that and you can wait a couple days to do these, but I'm gonna have them today. So I'm gonna take the herbs off. I'm gonna get a towel and I wanna try to pat it dry as much as I can because I want it to be nice and dry so I get a nice crust on there when I'm searing them. Okay. Then I'll take my kosher salts and I'll season it. And I want it to be seasoned even. And for me, I don't like to put pepper on these just because I'm not a very big pepper fan. And usually when you're searing it at high temperature, pepper ends up burning. That's about as much salt as I want to put on them, okay? So the pan is smoking hot. Put some canola oil in there. Probably going to sear it 4 minutes on one side, 4 minutes on the other. When I sous vide it, I sous vide it to rare inside. So. Basically, I'll just let them sit and go for 4 minutes. I won't touch them. Right when I get ready to flip, I'm going to add some garlic and thyme to it. And after it sears on the other side and gets nice and brown for 4 minutes, then I'll baste them with butter. So it's been 4 minutes. Now I'm going to flip it over. Look at that beautiful stuff. Came out perfect. On one side, so now I'm going to baste it. I want to get it nice and covered with all that butter, flavor, fat. Okay, now I'm going to put it over here on a rack. I'm going to let it rest for 10 minutes, and then I'll start cutting into it. Steak is rested 10 minutes. We're going to serve it with some steak fries, and I put the compound butter on top, sliced it, came out nice. I hope you try this at home, and thank you. Okay, so we're going to start making our pie, our blackberry pie. And basically the ingredients here are pretty simple. It's flour, 2 cups of flour, and I'm putting that in right now. And basically for the shortening for this, I have it in the freezer right now because I'm trying to keep it cold. Because especially on pie crusts, you want to keep the you want to keep any of the fat cold all the time, because the colder you can keep it, the more flaky your pie dough is. And then this recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of sugar, pinch of salt, and it calls for a 1/2 cup of water right here. And I'm going to add an ice cube to it because I want to keep it as cold as possible. So I added just a little less of the water, so hopefully the ice cube melts and I still get the 1/2 cup. And then I got 1 cup of shortening. And I'm going to take a knife and just cut it up just a little bit so that way it gets moving. And I'm going to put it into my KitchenAid and we're going to start mixing it. So I'm going to add it on the KitchenAid. Put the paddle attachment in. And basically we're going to mix it until we get like little pea shapes. The fat turns into little sized peas. And then we're going to add our liquid, and then we can start rolling out the dough. In the meantime, while that's mixing real quick, I'm going to get together the blackberries that are going to be filled inside this. So I have 16 ounces of frozen blackberries that I'll add to a bowl. And then we need something to actually get a little bit stiffer. Get the base to not be so liquidy. So we're going to add some flour, and 3 tablespoons. And that way, while the thing is cooking in the oven, the flour will help make it become tighter, so it won't be so liquidy in there. It's going to thicken up as it goes. 3/4 cup of sugar. Sugar is going to add a little sweetness for the berries. There we go. And basically we're just going to mix this around so it's all coated. sugar's going to melt in there with the flour. It'll get all nice and thick in there, and that way when so basically the dough's done. Flour the bottom. Get the bowl all nice and clean again. Basically, I'm going to take this. This will be enough crust for top and bottom. So I just pulled the dough out of the freezer, or actually out of the refrigerator to let it rest, because I want it to get hard again. So that way when I roll it out, and before I bake it, it's going to turn nice and flaky on me, for me. So sometimes it sticks because I didn't add enough flour. Just place it back a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to try to roll the dough up. Like so, so I can pick it up, put it on the pie tin. See, another piece stuck there. The good thing about the pie dough is you can just place it all back in there. Get it all nice and perfect. because we're going to put a top on it anyway, so. Okay, so it's all placed in there. We're going to grab our berries. Berries that we mixed, and we're going to line it all in here. That was the 16 ounce of blackberries, 3/4 cups of sugar, 3 tablespoons of flour, all evenly placed in there. Put this right over here, and now we're going to roll out the top crust. More flour down. Okay, now I'm going to roll out the top crust. Just pulled that out of the freezer too. So basically I'll just take all the dough and I'll fold it over. That'll be our crust line. Anything that's bigger than a 1/2 inch I'll take off. And I'm trying to fold it underneath. the bottom crust. Okay, and it feels all good. So then I'm going to go ahead and make the pleats. And all I'm doing is sticking my knuckle into the two fingers that I'm pulling forward. And I'll put a little vent hole in the middle, just so some of the steam can escape while it's cooking. And that's it. This goes into a 400-degree oven, and then I'll reduce it down after 20 minutes to 350, and then it'll cook for 40 minutes. So I'm going to put the pastry in the oven right now, 400 in the third part of my oven, in the third part of the shelf. So I just pulled it out of the oven, still bubbling in the middle, and it looks good. So I'll take a picture after I cut it. So I just cut it, 2 pieces, sauce thickened up in the middle, crust is nice and flaky, and here's what the front finished product looks like. Enjoy. There you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Had a great time making that, and we all enjoyed it for dinner. Is there any questions or anything I can answer?
Check the chat box, Jeff. There's a couple questions in there. Looks great, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. What do you do if you don't have a sous vide? Basically, you can sear the steaks the same way I did it. Take the steaks, season them, put them on there, but you're going to probably go a little bit longer. So you probably go about 7 or 8 minutes per side, somewhere around there. And then sear them just like I did, but you wouldn't go high temperature either. You turn down the heat a little bit so you can cook it on one side. Or you can sear it on one side, get a nice crust, flip it over, throw it in a 400-degree oven. And probably about 8 minutes inside the oven, 8 to 10 minutes, and then pull it out and let it rest. Can you use olive oil? Yes, you can. Same thing. The difference is the olive oil has a lower smoke point. So basically you just have to turn down, or you can actually mix a little canola and do a 75-25. Would actually work good too. Or you can use all olive oil and just turn down the heat a little bit, just so, and actually go medium. And how long should you cook or fry on each side for medium well? I'd probably say if you sous vide it, you could probably sous vide it for longer and at a little higher temp. So to get it medium, but if you're just cooking in a pan, probably about 13, 14 minutes per side would actually get you to medium well.
Super. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, thank you guys for tuning in today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.